10 Nelson, your community access television. Programming on this channel is made by local volunteers. If you would like to be a part of your community television, please call 354-4200 or write to Shaw Cable, 613 Ward Street, Nelson, V1L1T2.
Hi, and welcome to a brand new informative show, and actually it'll be the only one of its kind. We're going to let you know all about what's going on this weekend with Music 91 in Nelson, British Columbia. And with me to give us lots of information on the do's and don'ts and what you can and won't see and is Lori de Cou, who is the coordinator of the community relations for Music 91 here in Nelson. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
Great to have you here.
Oh, it's nice to be here.
Good stuff. Okay, first of all, I think everybody's probably wondering, let's have a lineup of what's going on this weekend here in Nelson.
Sure. The first thing to know about this weekend is it's the Music 91 Roadshow weekend in Nelson, and it's for the whole Kootenay area, you know, and it's a full lineup of activities all day Saturday and all day Sunday. Down at the Lakeside soccer pitch, which is right beside the Lakeside Park, of course, you may have noticed a buzzle of activity as Music 91 rolled into town. Yeah, we rolled into town, I think, on Tuesday and have been diligently setting up since then. And the site will actually open Saturday at 11:30 in the morning. And when it opens, it's full of activity all day long. It's geared to the entire family, and the same thing will happen on Sunday. So now that we know that it's a festival and that it's all day long, I think we all know who the headliners are. And of course, on the Saturday night, we have Bob Hope, who is obviously a legend, and he will be performing with the Bobby Hales Orchestra, as well as Colorman, which is a a cappella group, will open for the Bob Hope show. So that's the Saturday 7:30 main stage performance. And then, of course, on the Sunday night, the headliner is Joan Baez, and opening for Joan will be Sarah McLachlan, who's a Vancouver-based performer, as well as a group called Olodum, who are Latin sounds. They actually toured with Paul Simon on his last tour and were very good and very popular. So that's that show in the evening. But of course, your ticket to those shows, and this is the important thing, is the ticket to the shows actually gets you in all day. And starting at 11:30 on the Saturday, for example, I'll just run through some of it because it really is a full day, is kicking it off on what we call the Spirit of BC Bandstand stage, which is just one of two stages that run all day long. There's Norman Foote and Bill Sample, who are great children's performers, and they will be performing with the Vancouver Youth Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so that'll kick things off at 12 o'clock on the Saturday. Now then, on that particular stage, it runs all day until 6:15 with groups such as The Odds, San Jose West, No Excuse, which is a relatively local group here in the Kootenays, a group called Ancient Cultures, and another group called Sue Leonard and the Shades. So that's Saturday. And then on Sunday, we have, on the same stage, we have a whole other lineup of talent. So it's really great.
Let's stop before you get to Sunday. Let's back up a little bit
and finish Saturday.
Yeah, I want to know. Okay, so people are going to plan then to come for an entire day.
Oh, absolutely, they should. They buy their ticket to the day, and they come on site, as we said, early. 11:30 we open. We have that on that stage. Now that's one of two stages, as I said. The other stage is called the BC Telecentennial Community Showcase stage.
This is running at the same time.
Same time. Now on that stage, it's full of amateur entertainment, both local and international. All day long. So those two stages run at the same time, and then right in the middle of them, in the middle of the soccer pitch there, is a huge area that you can't miss because it's flagged by huge inflatable that looks very much like a birthday cake, very colorful and big. And that area we call Kids Own. And it's named that because kids are the bosses there. And that's where there's all kinds of activities for children of all ages.
Right.
As you know, one of the activities there is storytelling.
That's right.
And it's a teepee, and what happens in that is we have local people who will entertain the children and tell them stories. We also have a walk-on synthesizer, which is exactly like the one from the movie Big. And you get to walk in there and make music with your feet.
That's great.
We've got a thing called the Drumosaurus, which is a sculpture that looks a bit like a dinosaur, but is made out of drums. And literally, you get to go up and bang it and kick it and make a bunch of noise. Then
All these active children have something to do,
Oh,
definitely.
they'll have a lot to run around and do. We have another series of tents called Make Music, and children go in there, and we have synthesizers set up. We have an instructor who will actually teach them some music. So after they've gone and pounded the drums and made absolutely no sense, they can go into Make Music and actually constructively try and create some music and
Or
learn
vice
something.
versa, yes.
Or vice versa, exactly. Then we have another area called Creations, and Creations is a series of tents where children will make masks and make flags and things out of recyclable materials, and those products will be used in a procession that will happen around 2 o'clock, I believe, both Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, neat.
And we have a series of street entertainers that will also be around the site all day long, and among those street performers are 18-foot puppet people.
Oh, wow.
And they will lead the children in this procession with all their materials that they had made in the Creations tents. So there's those 2 stages ongoing all day. There's the Kids Zone right in the middle. There's merchandise. There's concessions.
So if you're hungry and you didn't bring your cooler full of food stuffs, is there places where you can...
Oh, there is. Absolutely. We have food on site, everything from the traditional hot dog and hamburger to some more exotic stuff done by local people here. Local service groups run our concessions, so it's a good opportunity for them, and you don't have to lug around the cooler or whatever. The other thing to remember too is that if you happen to get down there and all of a sudden you've forgotten something or whatever the case may be, you can leave the site, and what you do is when you leave you get a wristband. You go through the pass gate and you get a wristband, and that'll allow you to come back in.
Oh, that's great.
So you can come and go. So you could even decide that, well, yes, I've got the ticket and I want to go see one of the concerts at night, but I really don't want my kids to stay up that late, but I don't want them to miss out on the activities. You can take them down for all day and then take them home to a sitter or something like that and come back yourself for the show, and you can come and go like that with no problem.
Great. And perhaps we should warn people or suggest that people don't bring alcoholic beverages with them.
That's
There's
right.
a reason for that?
That's right. It is a non-alcoholic site, and although you can bring your cooler on, although we have pointed out that you don't need to, but you certainly could, they will be searched because it is a non-alcoholic site, so people should know that. They should also know a couple of other things that are, it is rain or shine, so come prepared for the weather.
And if it rains, what are we going to do?
Well, if it rains, we'll go as planned. The only way that we wouldn't go is if the weather was such that the main stage performance couldn't go up.
Right.
And that doesn't happen here in Nelson, so we're not worried about it. Exactly. But, you know, we might get the odd rain throughout the day or this and that, but that's fine. Just come prepared for it. Or bring a rain slicker and an umbrella, and we'll be fine.
The majority of the events, are they covered somewhat?
They are, in the sense that the stages themselves aren't, like the seating area or the grass area outside the stage to watch the performances aren't. The kids zone area is pretty much covered. So if we get sporadic rain, it won't be a problem. You can dart into one of the tents at that time, then come back out. The other thing is that it is a festival, and it's a festival atmosphere, and we are on a park on the soccer pitch. So obviously there's no seating, and people should be aware of that. Now, they can bring down a lawn chair. That is not a problem, and there will be a designated area for the main stage performance where you can put your lawn chairs.
Yes.
So what we won't have is we won't have people who would like to just bring a blanket and sit in the blanket and then get stuck behind someone in a lawn chair.
Oh, okay.
We will make sure that everyone has a view.
Good.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
The other thing just to note is that obviously you can bring down cameras if you want for the day, because there's a lot of activities that your kids and family will be participating in. But the main stage concerts, like any other concert, there is no photography allowed. There's no photographs allowed to be taken, nor is there any video camera allowed to be taken of the main stage performances. So we'd appreciate the cooperation there. We don't want to restrict that stuff from all day, because it's a full days of activities and lots of stuff you can
Why can't
enjoy.
people take pictures of these famous stars that
It's the
they're
artists.
obviously much enamored of.
It's no different than if you were in Vancouver and went to the show at the Coliseum. You're not allowed to take your camera or video camera or recording device into that concert.
Right.
And even though an artist is doing an outdoor venue, those same restrictions apply, and they're handed to us by the artists themselves. So we have to respect that, and we're sure everyone will.
What about security for the events then? How will that go? Say you do get that odd person who wants to sort of try and do that kind of thing, or security around these big names?
They certainly are. I mean, there's ample security there for the shows.
That are local?
I believe
people?
we've augmented the security that we have. Music 91 does travel with
Oh, yes?
our own security, and then depending on the community and the situation we're involved in, we may have augmented it with volunteers, and I think we have for the perimeter.
Well, then you should have absolutely no problem here in Nelson. We're all terribly polite. We're a lovely community. It should be no problem at all. Something that I think people are very keen to get squared away and know, for those few people who haven't picked up their tickets yet, is where are they available? I know people have been phoning the Capitol Theatre, and I know Main Stage 91 here has been getting all kinds of phone calls. Where should they go? The best place to get a ticket right now, between now and Saturday, is at the Mohawk stations. Okay.
And they're at the Mohawks here in Nelson, throughout the Kootenays. They're in Castlegar, Trail, Creston, as well as Cranbrook. So all those Mohawks. Now the important thing to know is that Saturday, day of, as well as Sunday, as of 10:30 in the morning, right down at the park there, we'll have a Music 91 kiosk, which will be selling tickets right on site. So if you were hanging out to see the sun break or whatever your last minute hesitations were, you can get it then. So between now and then, Mohawk's your best bet, and then after that, just come on down to the site and buy a ticket then.
Price of the ticket, Lori?
Great. The Saturday show, it's different for each day.
Yes.
So that's important to know. It's $20.50 for Bob Hope's that day. And again, I've got to stress that that ticket gets you in at 11:30 for all the daytime activities. There's a youth and senior rate on the Saturday for $15.25, and children 12 and under are free, a maximum of 2 for every paying adult.
Okay.
So that makes it very affordable for the family. On the Sunday, the price for the Joan Baez Day is $22.50, with a senior and youth price at $18.75, and again, children 12 and under are free, 2 per 1 adult.
Should people be concerned with a sellout? Is that possible?
They really shouldn't. One of the things that we've done about the Music 91 Roadshow weekends, and the reason why we did it, was we wanted to have big outdoor venues to have that festival atmosphere. And there's room for 10,000 people at least down at the park, and we don't anticipate having that many people at all. I mean, it's not going to be a sellout, and people, there seems to be a rumor that
there's rumors flying everywhere. Let me tell you.
And
well, what was the latest? 12,000 sold, another 5,000 ready to be sold. Clear it up for us, Lori.
No, we're nowhere near there. Tickets are selling well. We anticipate that by the end of the day, we should have somewhere around between 3,000 and 6,000 people per day on site, depending on how the weather goes and things like that.
That's a lot of people, but that's a big difference.
A big difference, but it's not a problem. And people should know that and be very aware that come on down. There's lots of availability to get tickets.
Good, good. Okay, let's talk about Sunday. Will we have the same children's activities going on during Sunday?
We do. The only difference on the Sunday from the Saturday is perhaps in the actual performers on the other 2 stages, whether it be the amateur performers or the bandstand. For example, the Norman Foote, Bill Sample, and the orchestra are not on the Sunday. They're there Saturday.
Right.
But the 2 stages go all day long, starting at 11:30 or 12. The Kids Zone activities in the center of the park go all day, as well as the concessions and the merchandise. And then, of course, on both days, those other areas shut down for the main stage to go up.
Right.
And I never did mention the times for that. On both days, the main stage starts at about 7:30, and now the opening acts will go on at 7:30, and then we will just build in succession to the headliner.
2 opening acts to each headliner?
We don't. On the Saturday show, it's the Colorman opening, and then Bob Hope is playing with the Bobby Hales Orchestra backing up Bob Hope.
Great.
Yeah.
We should tell people, I mean, I've just recently heard about the Colormen. They are dynamite.
They really are.
This is an a cappella group.
They're an a cappella group. People may have known them as the Melloids. They used to be called the Melloids, and now they're called the Colormen, and they're very similar to an a cappella group that might be a little bit more well-known, the Nylons.
Yep.
And they're very much like them, and they're great. A lot of fun, high energy, real good entertainment.
that's Canadian all the way on that one.
Oh, it certainly is.
Would you mind me asking, I know there's a lot of questions floating around out there, this Music 91, from my understanding, has been billed a great deal as Canadian content music, and we have a lot of American headliners on this. Can you maybe clear up a few?
Oh, absolutely. The bulk of the talent that we are booking for our entire programming for Music 91, somewhere in the neighborhood of 88 to 92% of it is Canadian talent.
Yes.
Obviously, the focus always lies on the headliner, and you're quite right, in the Bob Hope and the Joan Baez's. But we tend to forget that we've also had the Anne Murrays and the Colin James and the Prairie Oyster Band and the George Foxes, and those artists that I just named are the most well-known Canadian artists in the country genre of music, which is the most, that type of music is what we're most programmed to.
Right.
So, and not only that, we are booking those people, and the obvious ones that we're not missing that people, I think, talk about and wonder where they are, Bryan Adams, for example.
Yes.
I mean, he isn't touring, and if he does decide to tour before the summer goes, we'll do everything we can to sign him to one of our dates. Gordon Lightfoot is another one that is not touring. Katie Lang is not touring. So, I mean, we've looked at all of them, and if they're available, we've signed them.
Yes.
But where the bulk of our programming comes in is not our headliners. The bulk of it comes in, for example, on all our weekends, of which we have 12 of them. The whole Spirit of BC Bandstand stage, which runs, as we know, all day Saturday and Sunday, is all mainly BC professional talent, and we've got some big names on that stage as well. For example, in Penticton, on the Spirit of BC Bandstand stage, not on the main stage, we have Paul Jans, we have Patricia Conroy. Great names in BC music. We've just recently signed for a number of dates Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Oh, right on. That's a name I haven't heard for a while. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, they're out and about and around and touring, and if they're there, we've got them.
Good.
So there is a lot of Canadian, and of course amateur. It's a great year for BC amateur performers on our community showcase program. It's huge, and we've probably programmed 1,000 groups.
Well, I know one of our local bands, No Excuse, have you been trying to do that consistently with the towns using their own?
We certainly have. What we do is when we go to book the Spirit of BC Bandstand stage is we look for professional BC performers in that community, because they have a following. It's an opportunity for them to A, pick up a job, and B, play in an event that's a nice big music festival and get a good audience for them. Okay,
since we're getting into it, maybe you can tell us why Music 91 was conceived. Basically what purpose it's going to serve. Obviously it's entertainment, but there's got to be something underlying there.
It is. It's much more than entertainment. Our mandate is a tourism mandate, more so than it is an entertainment mandate. And it all came out of lessons that were learned back in Expo 86 in Vancouver. And in a nutshell, there was two main lessons learned. One of them is there is the fear that after 86, the tourism industry in Vancouver and offset in BC would have a downfall because it was no longer an expo. And that didn't happen. We very quickly came back up to the numbers within the tourism industry that we were doing in the 86 year without an expo. So that made us think in the tourism industry that maybe once you have the big event that turns people on to an area, they will come back anyway without having to have that event again.
Right.
So that was one of the lessons. The other is that there was a misconception, I think, that originally we thought, or the tourism industry felt, that with Expo in Vancouver, people would travel from Winnipeg, or wherever they came from, and get in their Winnebago and take their time meandering through British Columbia on their way down to Vancouver, spending time and money in all the BC communities. And I think, as we all know, what happened is Expo was very successful, and people beelined it to Vancouver, spent all their time in Vancouver and their dollars, and then went straight home. And the economic spin-offs to the BC communities wasn't what we had anticipated it being. Music 91 is trying to answer that.
So you're focusing, I mean, obviously you're focusing on specific...
And totally out of the Lower Mainland.
Cities, yes.
What we're doing is and using music as a theme, which is where the music comes in, we're in most cases either creating an event, but in most cases piggybacking on an existing event, like we are here with the I can never say that right.
Don't even
The festival.
think about it.
And
Chautauqua.
that's very good. And what we do is we want to try and augment that and make it a bit bigger and better than it has ever been.
Right.
The whole idea is that not only will people locally come and have a great day, but if we can draw people that haven't been to this area or this region for a while or have never been, what we're trying to do is get them to come here, A, for the weekend, spend some money in the community, but the long-term benefit is going to be when they come and they say, Nelson is great.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful place. Why don't I come here for holidays? Why do I go to California? Why do I go to Toronto? Why do I go wherever? I can stay in BC. And hopefully next year or 2 years from now, they'll come back to Nelson. Or they'll go home and they'll tell their neighbors, hey, you got to go up to the Kootenays. It's just beautiful up there. I had no idea. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to move people. Basically, our mandate isn't huge. We're not expecting busloads of tourists from Germany or Japan to come over for this. But we are expecting people within BC to move around our province this year and have a taste of what it is that we have. And maybe in future years, instead of going abroad for your holiday, traveling here to the Kootenays, or maybe up to see Dwight Yoakam in Fort St. John and you've never been up there before.
Right.
And that's the idea, and I think the benefits will be measured 5 years after Music 91, when communities themselves can assess whether or not tourism has actually increased, that it did help turn people on to their areas.
Who created Music 91? Is this out of British Columbia tourism? Where was this?
Well,
conceived?
it came out of a man by the name of Bill Clancy, who was our commissioner to Music 91, and it was his sort of brainchild. From that, it developed into something that the Ministry of Tourism felt was a worthwhile endeavor to do. And then, of course, as we know, seed money for the project was given to the ministry for the project through BC Lotteries. So it was BC Lotteries dollars that initially funded the project, and then we've raised substantial dollars through corporate sponsorship, and that's what fueled us all to go.
I see.
Yeah.
So have things been going really successfully so far?
They've gone, I think, better than any of us anticipated them going.
Yes.
And
in particular?
Yeah. And these are little stories that don't tell the big story. But for example, there's this couple that went and saw Harry Belafonte in Kelowna, which was one of the shows that we did. And they were able to somehow get backstage, and they had a Music 91 sweatshirt that they had bought that they got him to sign. And then they went and saw the Nylons down in Summerland, or up in Summerland, and again they got that signed, and they're dedicated to spending their entire summer.
Yes.
That's right. They're going to travel to as many Music 91 events as they can throughout the summer, and for people like us who have been working on this project for so long, that's exactly what we're trying to do. And when I sit in a restaurant and I hear someone talking about Music 91 and them saying, yeah, well, we're gonna go to a Soyuz, or we're gonna go to Fort St. John or something. It's just so rewarding, because that's exactly what we're trying to do, and it's working.
That's the whole thing. Get people moving.
Stay at home this year, travel BC, and take in some of these events, and then.
Do people in Ontario and Manitoba and Saskatchewan, do they know about this?
They do. Tourism BC, we've been working in partnership with them and very closely, and they promote us outside of BC. Our mandate is very much to move local traffic, BC traffic. But yeah, they know about us. So we've had calls from people in in Europe. We've had calls from people in Japan, California, Montana. Oh yeah, they know about us. They know that there's something happening up here, and it's Music 91, and they want to get on the wagon.
Right. Well,
yeah,
it seems to be working. Yes. I mean, I've heard some really good things about the Tom Jones concert over in Creston. A lot of people were really excited about that.
He was fantastic. I didn't see him in Creston, but I saw him in New Westminster. We had him there as well, and he was phenomenal. I couldn't believe how good it was.
What's blowing a lot of people away here is the fact that Bob Hope. I mean, you can't get much bigger than Bob Hope, you know. And he's coming to Nelson. This is something that wasn't advertised in advance a great deal. Obviously, I mean, Joan Baez we've known for quite some time. What's Bob Hope doing coming to Nelson? Well,
it's a great question. I think a lot of credit has to go to our producer, a man by the name of Paul Mertz, who's been doing this for years. And I think the secret is that Paul is extremely good at exciting the artists about what it is that we're doing here in BC with Music 91. And for Bob Hope, who's played absolutely everywhere, really, he's excited about the fact and the whole concept of having performers like him go into smaller communities who wouldn't normally be able to have a show like that, and help it out. I mean, he thinks it's a great idea, and we're glad he's coming.
What's he going to do for us on stage? What will the audience see Bob Hope doing? I mean, we all have it in our minds, Bob Hope, Brooke Shields doing the, you know, with the band behind. And
well, he's definitely got the band behind. I mean, he's here with the Bobby Hales Orchestra, so there'll be several
Is he
piece
going
orchestra.
to sing for us?
I believe I wouldn't be at all surprised if we heard a bit of Thanks for the Memories or something along those lines. I would think so. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we laugh a lot, because as we all know, Bob Hope can be an extremely funny man. So it should be a really good show, and great for the whole family.
Is he going to do a little R&R while he's here in Nelson? Is he?
Do
we know? You know, like, are we apt to see him out on the Kootenay Lake doing a little fishing or something?
I don't know. I don't think his travel allows him to, but I'm sure he would love to. So if he doesn't, maybe he'll be like the Music 91 mandate, and he'll get reintroduced, because he has been to the Kootenays before, reintroduced to it, and he'll be back for a little R&R.
That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, is there anything else that we should inform people out there about in regards to coming to this show? Is there any other do's and don'ts?
I don't think so. I think we've covered the basics. I mean, I think just recap them slightly. That tickets are available. You can get them at Mohawk, and that's really important. And if you wait till day of, you can get them day of down at the site, which of course, as we all know, is at the Lakeside Soccer Pitch. So we want to make sure that people know where we are. It's pretty hard to miss us, though.
Perhaps we should mention, actually, this is quite important, the volunteers in Nelson. And there are quite a few of them, aren't there?
There are well over 100, I'm sure. I don't know the number, but there's lots. And the volunteers are absolutely, without question, irreplaceable. If we didn't have them, first of all, the site wouldn't get built, and secondly, it certainly wouldn't run. And in the other two roadshows that we've already had, the volunteers have been terrific, and I'm sure they're going to be here. And they're the ones that when you get down on site, they're wearing red shirts. You really can't miss them. So any questions or problems, you just head straight for a volunteer, and if they can't help you, they'll direct you to someone who can.
So I'm sure we would like to thank them in advance for all the work they've done.
Oh boy, would we ever like to thank them. We also have a local committee here in Nelson, as we have in every community that we go into. We work in partnership with the communities, and they've been wonderful. The chairman is Wayne Germain, and he's been very helpful, and of course Dan Cook from the chamber here in Nelson has been instrumental as well. So to them and the rest of the committee, our KBS radio station who is presenting the show has been instrumental to us as well. So all those players that have had a hand in it, all the volunteers, thank you in advance, and we couldn't do it without you.
Absolutely. That ends the show on a lovely note, doesn't it? Well, I'd certainly like to thank you for coming on the show and telling the audience how to get there, what to do, and how much, and what's going to be going on. I'm sure you have a much better idea now what to expect when you do go on down to, now, wait a minute, it's not Riverside Park. It's right beside Riverside Park, okay?
They call it the Lakeside Soccer Pitch.
All right, so everybody show up and have a good time. I'm sure you will. And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
We'll look forward to it, yes. Okay, till next time, whatever. Thank you and bye.